Hi there, so I'm going to do another studio diary. I've been really enjoying doing these little roundups of what I'm doing, just talking to you about what's coming up, what I've been up to during the week. So I'm just going to wander around the studio, show you a few things that I've been working on, and I hope you enjoy watching that. Okay, let's have a quick look. I'll start over here again, just talking through some of these sketches that I've been working on. Again, my wall isn't really going anywhere. I'm really wanting to do some of this, but as in the last video, I've really been, still very interested in working on my work in my sketchbook, the work on paper. I've still been going through all these paintings that I did while I was away, the paintings that I do outside. I really like working outside. I really enjoy working outside and then bringing them back into the studio and working with them. And I'm just finding that to be the most useful thing for me to do at the moment. I think sometimes you can get yourself into a little bit of a rut thinking you should be doing certain things. I feel like I should be doing work on canvas, I should be doing work on board, when in actual fact, the thing that's most useful to me at the moment is going through these paintings, looking at these sketches, really building up the ideas that I want to work on my big paintings. And I'll talk about those in a minute. They've come on. In fact, those are different ones, but I'll talk about those in a minute. And sometimes the best thing to do is just take a bit of a step back, and rather than be thinking about what you should be doing, should be doing this, should be doing this. What's the most useful thing? What's the most productive things to do? And that's what I've been trying to do at the moment. So, all these little sketches. I'll just go through some of them. You've probably seen a few of these before. But I've been building up this book. It's not quite finished yet. But I've been building up these sketches and using the work that I did from outside while I was outside to start to build the ideas for my studio paintings, my big studio paintings, towards this exhibition that I've got coming up. There's bits of writing and things like that that I did while I was out, and some of them are a bit samey, but some of them are a bit different. So I really like this one, actually. There was some, I don't think I spoke about this one before, but it's kind of like a mixture of the view out over towards this big rock in the middle of the sea and the beach and all the kind of waves and all that kind of stuff. But also there was some graffiti that was there on in the place that I was doing the sketching, and he's kind of said, "What's the problem?" And I kind of thought that was quite interesting, and I wrote it on my drawing. And so it's a sort of mixture of the kinds of things that were there to see, and also the ideas and words and things that kind of remind me of the place that I was at. And I think sometimes these paintings can work very much as a sort of a reminder and a kind of diary of their own, really, if you think about them in a sort of terms of a diary of themselves. And that's another similar one done at the same time. You can see it's got a kind of similar feel about it. And so again, there was some writing and some graffiti, and I thought, well, that's just quite interesting. Sometimes I think these words can be quite an interesting mark, so I like to get them in. And then this next group, maybe a little bit more like the kind of things I normally do, kind of waves coming crashing down on the rocks, again taken from some sketches that I did outside. So this is the way I work all the time. I'm always working where I go outside and I paint and then I bring them back, and that's very much the kind of thing that I do on my workshops. And if you're interested in joining in a workshop and actually learning how to do the kind of work that I'm showing you here, this is very much what I do on my live workshops, also my online workshops. And the next one is going to happen in October, beginning of October. So you've still got time to sign up for that if you're interested in learning about how to approach this kind of work, because what I talk about on that course is not just about the kind of the physical side of painting, but it's how to approach it, how to think about it. And then, these are things that I have kind of developed myself as I've been working over the years. But it's a lot of the work that I do is very much about how to approach gathering ideas. What's the best way to gather ideas for your paintings? And for me, it's very much about working on large pieces of paper, coming back to the studio, cropping them, collaging them, building up the ideas. So, on the course that I've got coming up next month, it's all about this, you know, it's all about, but there's also stuff, more practical stuff about, you know, the kind of palette to use, the tools to use, and just how to go about it and be as creative as you possibly can, really. So if you're interested in that, you know, do check out the links in the description to the video, because obviously it's starting at the beginning of October, but there's plenty of time to sign up. Okay, let's have a look. What else have I got? So these, you know, this whole group of paintings came out from my sketching trips outside. So, you know, I really like some of these. I've got some bits of collage in here, which I think, again, they're like reminders. You know, and it's how you go about thinking about your painting, how it's not just, you know, painting doesn't have to be just about the things, the view, you know, making a picture. You know, they can be very much more than that, I think. They can be more about how to remember what was there, how to recreate the experience, hold on to some of that experience. And that's, you know, that's what I'm really trying to do in all my work. So I'm trying to carry these kind of ideas through into my large studio paintings, because if I go down here and talk about this sketch and the paintings that are down here, you can see the connection. So the two paintings on the wall behind me here are the ones that I had in the previous video. And if you haven't seen that, check out the description, which will be popping up here somewhere. And then you can click on that and you can go and watch that video, and you'll see what these looked like last week. I've done quite a bit of work on them, put a lot of oil on them. So, you know, been building up the surface and really getting them moving. So yeah, they've come quite a long way. But what I wanted to talk about here was the connection between the sketches. You see, you know, this sketch and actually this first group here, this one and this one, very much informing these pieces. Probably mostly this one. You can see there's quite a similar composition, but it kind of went round in circles for quite a long time before it settled back down to a similar composition, because, you know, I like to work like that. I like to keep the composition as open as possible, not get too attached to one composition too early on, because I like to be able to build up the surface and really get the interest going on the paintings. I think there's quite a lot of nice kind of splashy, energetic wave stuff going on this one now. But as you can see, it definitely came out of these, you know, recreating the feeling of these sketches, and probably more compositionally, as you can probably see. I showed you just now, but find it again. Yeah, this one. But I feel like these paintings, because they're bigger, I can really get the kind of physical energy into them, which I really enjoy doing, which is why I like working big. You know, I like working on these bigger paintings, just to get that kind of physical energy into them. And this one, again, you know, big kind of splashy, energetic wave kind of crashing down. So maybe that one's not quite as far on as the one over here, but I don't know. I've decided that I'm kind of going to let it sit for a week or so while I'm working on something else, because I kind of like it, and I don't want to ruin it now, but because I've got lots of other things on the go, and this is, again, something I talk about on my workshops all the time. If you've got lots of things on the go, you don't have to get too precious about them. You can leave them, you can move on, or if you've got something else to work on, you know, they don't have the preciousness because you've got a whole series. I always work in a series to make sure I've got lots of things to work on. And that way, if I do decide that I need to let something sit for a bit and have a think about it, then I can absolutely do that, because I've also got lots of other stuff on the go. So speaking of that, other stuff on the go, I've got this one here, which is at a much earlier stage to those ones, but I actually quite like the freshness of it. I quite like the, it's all water-based paint at the moment, whereas those other ones I was just looking at, I've got quite a lot of oil built up on them, but I quite like the freshness of this at the moment. So I'm going to try and keep it a bit lighter and a bit fresher, which is something I might try and bring back into this one over here, because I feel like it might have got a little bit stodgy, but I haven't decided yet. I quite like that. In some ways, I quite like the gloominess of it. So, yeah, but this one and the next one I'm going to show you are actually on board, because I was working quite a lot on a flat surface. I wanted to work on them lying down on the tables that you could see there. I was finding that with the canvas, if I wasn't too careful, you can get like a pool of stuff in the middle. You know, if you've got quite a lot of varnish, I've been putting quite a lot of varnish and thinner paint on them. And so I was having to be a bit careful that I didn't get like a pool settling in the middle because of the canvas, because of the flexibility of the canvas. So I thought I'd try working on board. And I do like working on board, and I quite like work on big boards. I've done a lot of that before. So I just decided that I'll give that a go. So I've got a couple here where I've made these panels. So, it's a nice rigid surface, and they've just been primed with some acrylic gesso ready to go. Okay, so let's just move down here into ceramic land. As I like to call it. I don't know, I don't really call it that. I've been working on a few more of these pieces of ceramics, my pots. So these are unfired at the moment, and actually they've just got quite a bit of porcelain slip on at the moment, but I need to do a little bit more of the colour work on them to kind of build them up a little bit. And in fact, I quite like this one because it's going to have a lot of black on it, and I know it looks a bit pasty at the moment, but obviously when they're fired you get the colour really coming out and the depth of the tones really coming out. So there's some quite interesting stuff going on there, and in fact there's quite a lot of colour underneath that you can't really see, but that will come out when they're fired. And this one again, trying to get these big brush strokes into the slip, because as you know, I quite enjoy big brush marks. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying those. From the first group of ceramics that I did, I think my favourite ones were the ones, these kind of cylindrical forms, these little cylindrical vessels. So I decided to go with that for a bit. I'll probably change that up as I go forward, but I think I just felt they were the most successful ones and the ones that I was enjoying the most and enjoying looking at. So that's why I thought I'd go on for the second group. I just try and build on that and try and really kind of refine what I'm doing with them. So that's what I'm doing with these. And as you could probably see there, I've got a couple of slightly larger ones here. So what are these, about maybe 50 centimeters or something tall. They're not quite as big as the one I showed you in the previous video, the one that was finished, but I quite enjoy and I quite like the shape. I think they're a bit more substantial as well, but obviously continuing on from these quite simple shapes really. And again, they need a bit more, they need some colour, they need some coloured slips on them. I'm going to have a little play around with those at some point. But on these also, I've punched some holes in them. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I've got an idea that I might add some metal or wire or something, rope, some kind of extra material once they're fired, add that on afterwards. And so I've punched a few holes in it. I've just decided that I'm not really sure what I'm doing with it, but I didn't mind. I thought I'd do it and then decide later on what works best. I thought I might just have a play around with some different materials, maybe try and get some coloured wire or something in there to give it a bit of a punch of some colour, different type of mark as well. So yeah, that'll be quite interesting to see what happens. They might all just fill up with glaze and I won't be able to do anything with them, but we'll see. Okay, so that's what I've been working on in the ceramics. So I think that's probably everything, isn't it? So let's go and have a look back in the other room. So that seemed like quite a lot to be getting on with. I've had quite a busy week, got plenty to be working on. I hope you enjoyed watching that. If you want to keep an updated on what's happening, I'll be carrying on doing these videos, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Again, if you're interested in my workshops, please check out the link in the description to the video. There's loads of information on there. Just follow that through and you can see all the different things that we do on the workshops, and it'd be great to see you on there. Okay, so that's it for now, and I'll see you soon.